What is the Project Management Triple Constraint, presented by Team Innovation? Properly documented by the Project Management Institute, PMI, the triple constraint is a model of the constraints on a project. These include scope, time, and cost, and their effect on quality. These constraints are areas where changes are introduced into a project, and the challenge of every project manager is to balance these constraints throughout the project. These three elements of a project are known to work in tandem with one another, where one of these elements is restricted or extended. The other two elements will then also need to be either extended and increased in some way, or restricted and reduced in some way. There is a balancing of the three elements that only when fully understood by the project manager allows for the successful planning, resourcing, and execution of the project.
Project scope involves any task used to create products and processes used in a project. For any project, there are 6 project scope management processes. The first is planning scope management. This involves creating project guidelines that accurately reflect the requirements of the project. Next, we need to collect the requirements. This process involves developing a good process by way of collecting information from surveys, observation, and benchmarking. Defining the scope will then allow us to outline the key inputs and definitions of the required work. A project charter is usually used to organize this information. The project scope statement includes information regarding scope description, user acceptance criteria, and project deliverable information. A WBS allows us to group the tasks that define the project scope and break them down into smaller deliverables by way of decomposition. This breakdown will eventually bring us to the work package task located on the lowest level of the WBS. Validation of scope is also key and ensures that the scope accurately reflects customer needs. This step also helps monitor and avoid scope creeping, which is detrimental to a project budget and timeline. The final step is controlling the scope. Once we have defined, outlined, and validated the scope, this step allows us to manage changes during the project while keeping the business goals in mind. Variance is a key tool used here to measure the difference between planned and actual performance.
The time constraint poses several questions. To answer these questions, project time management processes are used. There are 7 total processes to project time management. The first is planning scheduled management. It involves both determining and documenting all relevant policies and procedures needed to manage and control a schedule. Next, activities and milestones needed to complete a project should be identified and defined. When defining project milestones, it is important to ensure all milestones are SMART, or specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, and time-framed. Next, activity relationships should be identified and defined in order to properly sequence activities. The next processes are identifying and estimating activity resources and activity durations. Duration estimates should include both time spent on the project and elapsed time. The 6th process is developing a schedule using all information obtained in the previous processes. There are several tools available to assist in developing a schedule. They include Gantt charts, critical path analysis, critical chain scheduling, and PERT analysis. The final process is controlling and monitoring the schedule to keep the project on track. By effectively using all these processes, project managers will be able to ensure the time constraint is met.
If a project is able to meet its scope and is also able to be completed on time, it still may not be deemed a success unless it's able to be completed at or under budget. Cost management is the third parameter associated with the triple constraint, and it's a series of controls which assist with ensuring that a project is completed within an approved budget. 3 independent studies have shown that IT projects average a 33% cost overrun. Of this percentage, 1 in 6 experienced a black swan event. A black swan is a singular high-impact event which can be considered rare and very unpredictable. One cannot anticipate a black swan, but successful project managers realize that they're a possibility. The processes of planning, estimating, and budgeting come together to assist in controlling project costs. Project managers use a technique called earned value management in order to monitor project performance. EVM integrates scope, time, and cost management to establish key performance indicators. By periodically assessing the results provided by EVM, project managers are able to predict costs and scheduling based upon work scope. also able to make informed decisions and control change to the work scope with respect to cost and schedule variances. EVM helps add balance to the triple constraint when unknowns or the inevitable black swan is encountered.
One of the key components to any project is ensuring the quality of the end product produced by the project. Proactively practicing project quality management helps ensure that the project will meet the goals supported by the conformance of requirements. During the life cycle of a project, it is important to constantly evaluate and reevaluate the project processes to ensure that the focus remains on the project scope and that it functions efficiently to minimize time and cost. Project quality management really focuses on three main processes: planning quality management, performing quality assurance, and controlling quality. Planning quality management focuses on the requirements and standards that are important to the project and how to meet them. During this process, metrics are also set to compare and measure project output. Without setting metrics, there are no standards to be held to. Performing quality assurance provides the occasional overview of the project to ensure the project continues to meet the quality standards. Performing quality assurance produces change requests, project management plan updates, project document updates, and organizational process asset updates. Controlling quality monitors specific project results to ensure they all meet the quality standards. Once this information is obtained, it can be used to help improve the quality of the end product. Pareto charts, quality control charts, and statistical sampling are all examples of tools utilized in the process. Performing quality management is nothing more than checking the roadmap to ensure the project is headed in the right direction.
The triple constraint is one of the most well-known and well-respected mechanisms for measuring the interaction of the key attributes of a project. Being fully aware of its function and implications is an important aspect of a project manager's role and responsibility. At the end of the day, these are the key elements of a successful project, and these are the things that will determine whether or not you have successfully managed a project.